All right, so what do we need to know about body weight and body fat? Well, they're very, very different, obviously. Too many women are focused on body weight. It is the almighty scale that rules their day and their emotional landscape. So this is where some women I work with, when we first start working together, they're like, I call it a horse with blinders on. So they're like this, and everything is the scale, the scale, the scale, the scale. I grew up in a household where my mother and my sister, as soon as they would wake up, they'd run for the scale, and they would each stand on their own scale, and they would shout out what their weight was, and whoever was lighter was the winner, the queen for the day. And I remember looking at that going, that's insane. I can't believe I'm living in this household. And I watched that play out, and they were either up or they were down depending on their weight. It still plays out in women's minds. And I'm always urging my women, suggesting different body fat machines so that they can understand that the weight is not the most important thing. We want to look at the body composition, and we want to recomposition it. We want to have less fat and more lean muscle. And in order to do that, we got to know where we're at. So we do need to know our weight. So any body fat machine, there's so many different kinds out there, guys. And gyms have all these little fancy dancy ones where they're showing you this whole little map and stuff, and it gets a little bit confusing. I just keep things simple. I'm a busy person. I just want to get right to the point. I have a handheld one, and then I have a stand-on one. Generally, they're like 2% difference. I don't care. All I want to know is that it's at a certain place. And so whatever method that you're using in the beginning, use the same method as you go along. If you're in a program, they'll probably, hopefully, have you do body fat. And that's something that you need to do in the morning when you're well hydrated, okay? Hydration starts 24 hours before. So if you had a day where you didn't drink a lot of water, or maybe you went out for a few drinks and you're dehydrated, your body fat will actually show higher, because water conducts electricity and current, right? And so, for example, the handheld one that I have, I don't have it here, it's out in my garage, in my gym, but you hold on to it, and what it does is it's sending a current through, and it is assessing the different density between bone, muscle, and fat, fat being the least, and that's where you get your reading from. And there's also the stand-on one. So I have a Tanita stand-on scale. And that one I like a little bit better because I feel it just goes through the whole body up and down, as opposed to just the upper body like the handheld. But I use both. I actually like the Tanita one because it makes me lower in body fat. So that's good with me. But whatever is, I only check in maybe once every few months, because I don't change a lot in my physiology, because I'm doing the same stuff. I'm eating the same way. I'm training the same way. My clothes fit the same way, and I'm pretty happy where I am. But when you're on a body physique transformation weight loss program, the body fat is more telling. I'll tell you a story. I had a woman in my challenge. I don't know how many years ago it was, 4 or 5 years ago. It was a 16-week challenge. And she came in for her end of challenge body fat assessment. And she came in, and, her head was kind of down, and I'm looking at her walking towards me. And of course, first thing I noticed, I'm an arms girl. I noticed the arms right away. And I look at her arms, I'm like, oh, wow, looks good. So we get onto the body fat machine, and I said, like, Ellen, what's going on? And she said, I weighed myself today. I've only lost 2 pounds. And I went, okay, well, that's one side of the story. Let's do your body fat. Did her body fat? She lost almost 6% body fat. Her body had changed, but she was still using the scale as the almighty guide, and she saw it as a defeat because her body weight didn't change. But what happened was she added on muscle, and she lost 6% body fat. And I said to her, look in the mirror, look at your arms. And she said, well, I know, I kind of noticed that too. I thought, oh, maybe something is happening, but the scale trumped everything. So we had a little talk around that, and we reframed it for her. And then she walked out with a big smile on her face. To this day, she is still training and looks friggin' amazing. And she's almost 50. The reason for that is because she needed to understand the difference in how our body is crafted. And when we see the scale not moving, we can even see it go up, guys. Okay, that's why for some women, depends on their personality, their mindset. Do I say to them, you need to do your check-in, because we have weekly check-ins? Is weighing yourself part of it? It can be, maybe not. It depends on the personality, really. But for some women, they will, like if I say don't do it, they'll still do it and then go on, and then they're all distraught. But when we can get around to body fat, and you should all have your own body fat machine, guys. When we get around to body fat, they're like, whoa, and it opens up a whole new level of understanding. And that's what I want you guys to understand, because it's not about the weight. I'm the same weight at 124 pounds, I guess, as I was when I was 18. Totally different body, same bone structure, but just totally different in how it's laid out. And it's just because over the years I've changed the body composition. So I've changed the muscle mass to and muscle, from the muscle to fat ratios. I've changed those along the way. And then you have to maintain them. And that's why we keep on training and we keep on eating well. And so really consider what you're looking at as the God. If it's the scale, go get yourselves a body fat machine. There's so many out there right now. You shouldn't have to spend more than $100, maybe $100 on a stand-on. I like the Omron handheld one. They have so many different, I can't put a link up because they change them so many times. I just go to Amazon and I would just look for something. Often if you can go to Costco and they can sometimes be there, or London Drugs or something like that. But have a body fat machine, because it will allow you a level of freedom and help you to be able to see the stuff that's happening under the surface that you don't see happening. Our bodies are changing slowly. It takes time. It's flesh and blood and some bone. It takes time. But our weight can even change 2 to 3 pounds in a day, depending. And that can mess with our heads. So let's get out of our heads and let's just start looking at things differently from a different place. Talk body fat. So here's where we look at 30 to 40%. We need to work on it, right? Generally, most women I work with are between those 30 and 40%. And then we work at bringing it down. So we'll work at bringing those parameters down. And it's way more easily accessible than a scale weight, because that doesn't really tell us a lot. And so then 25 to 30 is very good. Anything 20 to 25 is excellent. Very few women can get under 20, nor do you want to, because it's tough. It's tough living that lean. Some women naturally can, but it's natural for them and it's genetics. And that's where us competitors go under like around 12 to 15% when we're in show. But it's a tough go, and our bodies don't want to stay there. And that's why a lot of women rebound back and put on a lot of excess weight, because the faster and harder you get there, the faster and more offensive it is when the weight comes back on. That's why slow and steady wins the race, always, whether you're doing a competition or whether you're just trying to live a leaner life. Slower is better, and your body gets to adapt along the way. And expect plateaus. Plateaus are a necessary part of losing weight as well. So go get yourself a body fat machine and start learning and living from a different place that makes you feel good about your results in the gym. Okay, ciao.